moment, something clicked inside. A whole new idea entered my mind. What if love is God's ultimate goal for our world? Hi, I'm Ty Gibson. When I was 8 years old, my mom took me into a room in our house and locked the door behind us. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if I was in big trouble or what, because I knew what she knew. I was doing really poorly in school. In fact, my teacher had told me repeatedly that I wasn't even engaging in the learning process. And I had a hunch she was going to tell my mom. Well, the fact is she did tell my mom, but my mom wasn't going to spank me or something like that. She had a different solution in mind. She was going to tell me the truth because she knew that I was messing up in school because I was totally stressed out about what was going on in our home. The only thing I could think about all day, every day, was the screaming and the violence and the pain that she was going through. My dad would regularly go ballistic and just beat her bloody. My 3 younger siblings and I would just run and hide under the covers in my bed, terrified as we listened to the terrible sounds through the thin walls of our small house. My mom took me into that room and she sat me on a sofa and pulled up a chair in front of me. She put her hands on my knees and she looked into my eyes, and I could tell that she was nervous. But out came the words that blew my mind. Charlie is not your dad. You got to understand, I thought he was my dad. As far back as I could remember, he was the guy, the only guy. I was majorly confused in that moment. Well, then my mom, she reached in to her purse and she pulled out a photo. She flipped it around, she put it in my hands, and I looked into the face of a man I had no memory of. I had never seen this face. And my mom says, "This is your dad. His name is Johnny, and Ty, I want you to know that he never hit your mommy." I lost it. You got to understand. I just sat there, my lips quivering. I was just trying to hold back the tears. In that moment of realization, something clicked inside of me. I knew that she was telling me something significant. I could just feel it. Charlie is not your dad, Ty. What he's doing to me is wrong. And you don't have to identify with him. You don't have to be like him. That was the first big paradigm shift in my life. And it completely altered me. But I have to tell you that this was merely preliminary to a far more significant paradigm shift that would come years later. The experience with my mom that day, it instilled in me a strong sense of justice, but this sense of justice posed a really big problem for me on another level. By the time I was a teenager, I was painfully aware that our whole world is filled with evil and suffering, and it troubled me. I mean, it really bothered me deeply, especially whenever somebody would talk about God. God? I mean, really? Come on, seriously? What a ridiculous notion. How could anybody really see what's going on in this world and believe in God? I reasoned something like this. Okay, if God exists, then certainly he would use his almighty God power to stop all the evil and pain in our world. I mean, wouldn't he? But since he doesn't, that must mean that the world we live in is just the way he wants it to be. In which case he couldn't possibly be good, and if he's not good, why would I want anything to do with him? Maybe I wanted, maybe I wanted a Rambo or Terminator type God. I don't know. But what I wanted was a God who would lay waste and stop evil people from doing evil things. I wanted a God of sheer power and absolute control and justice. That's what I wanted. But one day, after thinking about this thing over and over for months, from every angle, a whole new idea entered my mind. What if love and not control is God's ultimate goal for our world? If that were true, a whole new framework of understanding would naturally follow. I remember sitting there in my bedroom, 17 years old, surrounded with rock and roll posters all over my walls, lines of Coke on a mirror right next to me, and suddenly a whole new thought entered my mind. I realized that love cannot exist without freedom, and that freedom allows for both good and evil. Love by its very nature must be voluntary. A world in which wrongdoing would be impossible would be a world in which love would be impossible too. So if love were God's end goal, freedom would be the only way He could get us there. For the first time in my life, it was plausible that a God of almighty power and perfect goodness could actually exist with a world like ours on His hands. Amazing. My paradigm was shifting again, this time regarding God.